Halaena Rivera had always found peace in the high country, especially on nights when the whole sky felt alive. Tonight was one of those nights the annual meteor shower locals said was best viewed from Wolf Shadow Ridge. She had planned the midnight hike for weeks, craving silence, starlight, and the kind of freedom that only wide-open skies could give. The trail was steeper than she remembered, but excitement carried her up the switchbacks. The cold bit at her cheeks, her breath fogging in the beams of her lantern. Far above, meteors streaked the night, each one a whisper of fire across the heavens. She didn't hear the loose gravel before it slid under her boot. One moment, she was stepping forward. The next, the world tilted. She fell, hard ankle twisting, shoulder slamming into stone, lantern flying. Pain flared up her leg like lightning. The lantern clattered somewhere down the trail, extinguished on impact. Darkness swallowed her. For a moment, she lay still, trying to catch her breath. She tried to move her ankle sharp. Burning agony answered. Panic rose in her chest. Great, she muttered. Perfect night for a disaster. A soft crunch of footsteps startled her. Hello, she called, voice trembling. Anyone there? A beam of light cut through the darkness. You all right? A deep voice asked. Relief flooded her. I hurt my ankle. The man approached. Lantern in one hand, cowboy hat, shadowing rugged features. His flannel jacket was dusted with pine needles, and his dark eyes held quiet steadiness. I'm Marcus Hale, he said, kneeling beside her. Trail guide up here. Saw your lantern go down. Halaena tried to smile through the pain. Good thing you were out here tonight. Good thing you made enough noise to wake the mountain, he joked softly. Let's take a look. His gentle touch on her ankle sent warmth through her, despite the cold. He tested her movement carefully. She winced, gripping the ground. Sprain, he diagnosed. Bad one, but not broken. That's good, she said, through clenched teeth. Good enough. I can carry you back to camp. Her breath caught. Carry me. He grinned. Unless you planned on crawling the whole way. She couldn't help it. She laughed, even hurting as she was. Something in that grin made her feel safe, as if the night wasn't quite so dark anymore. Marcus slipped one arm under her knees and the other around her shoulders. He lifted her with surprising ease, her weight nothing against his strength. The sky above them exploded with another cascade of meteors. Helena's breath hitched at the beauty, but Marcus seemed focused only on her steady steps, crunching on the trail, his warmth shielding her from the cold. Sorry to ruin your night, she whispered. You didn't ruin anything, he said quietly. Some rescues. I don't mind. She wasn't sure what he meant, but as the stars fell like silver rain above them, Halaena felt something strange, something warm begin to stir, and the night suddenly felt full of possibility. Marcus carried Halaena down the trail as though he'd done it 100 times. His steps were sure, confident, barely jostling her, even on rocky patches. She'd hiked plenty, but she had never felt this close to someone literally or otherwise. His heartbeat thumped steadily beneath her cheek, grounding her in a way the mountain never had. They reached a clearing tucked between towering pines. A small campfire flickered, casting warm gold across the canvas tent pitched nearby. You have a whole setup, she asked. Part of the job, Marcus said. I stay out here most nights during the season. Easier to help folks who get turned around or hurt. He lowered her gently onto a padded bedroll beside the fire. Halaena inhaled sharply as pain shot through her ankle. Easy, Marcus said, kneeling again. Let me wrap it. From a canvas kit, he pulled a roll of cloth and a small bottle of salve. His hands were strong, but careful as he worked, rubbing warmth back into her ankle before binding it securely. He concentrated, brows furrowed with a kind of steady patience she rarely saw in people. You're good at this, she murmured. Been doing it a long time. He glanced up, eyes meeting hers. And you're doing better than most. Some folks scream before I even touch 'em. She laughed softly. I save that for the hiking itself. Marcus finished tying the bandage and sat back. You should stay off it tonight. In the morning, I'll take you down the easy way. She frowned. I can't stay here. You can, he said gently. You're hurt, and it's dangerous on the trail at night. Halaena looked around. Pine branches swayed overhead like dark curtains, and meteors flashed through gaps in the sky. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows. It felt peaceful, safe, the kind of place a person could breathe again. All right, she admitted. I'll stay. Marcus gave a satisfied nod. Good choice. He poured her a tin cup of warm tea from a kettle resting at the edge of the fire. She sipped it gratefully. The warmth spread through her chest, soothing her nerves. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the shower of falling stars. You come up here often? Marcus asked. Whenever I need to think, she said. Or escape. Escape. What? She hesitated. Life pressure. People expecting me to be everything. Marcus poked the fire, embers swirling upward. Mountains help with that. They don't expect anything from anyone. What about you? She asked. Why guide? Why sleep under trees every night? He smiled faintly. Because out here, things make sense. Wind blows, water flows. Trails lead somewhere. People. His voice softened. People are harder to trust. She studied him. There was an old hurt behind those words, something he hid beneath quiet strength. I trust you, she said, without thinking. Marcus looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. Then warmth. I'm glad, he whispered. Above them, meteors burned bright trails through the heavens. But Halaena felt something else, ignite quiet, warm, unexpected, and she wasn't sure which was more breathtaking. Halaena woke to soft morning light, filtering through the pines and the smell of coffee drifting on the crisp mountain air. Her ankle throbbed, but not as fiercely as the night before. She blinked sleep from her eyes, and found Marcus crouched beside the fire, brewing coffee in a tin pot. His hat was off, dark hair tousled, stubble shadowing his jaw. For the first time, she saw him relaxed, unguarded. Morning, she said. He turned, and his expression softened. How's the ankle? Sore, but manageable. Good. He poured her coffee. Breakfast'll help. She took the cup, warmed instantly by more than just the drink. Do you do this for everyone you rescue? Only the ones who stay conscious, he teased. I had a fella faint once before I even touched him. Halaena laughed, shaking her head. Poor guy. They shared breakfast simple biscuits, heated over the fire, and berries Marcus had gathered nearby. It felt oddly intimate, like two people who'd known each other far longer than a few hours. Marcus helped her sit more comfortably, careful with her injured foot. His touch lingered a moment too long, and she felt heat rise into her cheeks. So, she said, desperate to distract herself. Did you grow up out here? Close enough, he said. My folks ran a small ranch down the mountain. I took to guiding when I got older. He hesitated. After they passed, her heart tightened. I'm sorry. Marcus shrugged, though something in his eyes dimmed. Life's storms come for all of us. I just learned to weather mine here. Halaena reached out, resting her hand lightly on his. No one should have to weather them alone. Marcus froze, just for a moment, but he didn't pull away. Instead, he turned his hand so their fingers brushed, warm and steady. You talk like someone who knows storms, he said quietly. She nodded. My life, it hasn't been simple. Expectations, deadlines, responsibilities. Sometimes I feel like I'm running in circles, and everyone expects me to smile while doing it. Marcus studied her, his gaze deep and searching. Then maybe you need somewhere quiet to land. Even if just for a while. She exhaled softly. Maybe I do. A breeze rustled through the trees. The sky brightened with morning blues and golds, painting the world with calm. When you carried me down the trail, she said quietly, I wasn't scared anymore. That doesn't happen often. Marcus swallowed. I'm glad I could be there. A flicker of emotion passed through him, raw, cautious, hopeful. He seemed a man who had built walls high and thick. But last night, she'd seen cracks. This morning, she saw him letting the light through. Marcus, she whispered. What do we do now? He held her gaze, slow and steady. First, we get you down the mountain safely, but after, His voice dipped. "Maybe you and I figure out whether last night was just stars or something real." Her heart pounded, because she already knew her answer. Marcus fashioned a sturdy crutch from a fallen branch, smoothing the bark and trimming it to Halena's height. She watched him work, admiration softening her features. There was something grounding about his steady hands, quiet strength, patience in every movement. "You don't have to do all this," she said. "Sure I do," Marcus replied. "Can't leave you stuck on a mountainside." She smiled. "You could have just pointed me downhill," he raised a brow, "and risk you rolling all the way to the valley." "Not a chance." She laughed, the sound echoing gently through the pines. When he helped her stand, his arms circled her waist for balance. She felt the warmth of him comforting, anchoring. They walked slowly, Marcus matching her every step. The trail wound through rocky slopes and shadowed forests. Birds called overhead, and the breeze carried pine-scented freshness. Every few minutes, Marcus checked on her. "Pain level. Manageable. Need water." "Not yet." "You sure you're okay?" She grinned. "Marcus, if you ask me one more time, I'll think you're trying to keep me injured, just so I stick around." He stopped walking. The joking smile she expected didn't come. Instead, Marcus looked at her with something deeper unspoken, vulnerable. "Maybe I am," he said softly. Halaena froze. Her breath caught, heart skipping. "You don't have to leave," he added. "Not unless you want to." She wished for a clever response, but all she found was truth. "I don't want to," she whispered. Marcus stepped closer. His hand brushed her cheek, calloused thumb warm against her skin. For a heartbeat, the world quieted, trees stilling, wind pausing as though the mountain itself held its breath. He leaned in. Their lips met, soft, tentative, searching. The kiss was gentle, but full of promise, sending warmth cascading through her. She clutched his jacket for balance, not just physically, but emotionally, anchoring herself to this moment. To him, when they parted, Marcus swallowed hard. "I shouldn't have done that. Unless, I'm glad you did," she whispered. Relief washed over his face. They continued down the trail, but now Marcus held her closer, and Helena's grip on the crutch felt steadier than it had all morning. They stopped often, partly for her ankle, and partly because they kept stealing glances at each other, smiling like fools. She told him about her work, her pressures, her desire for something slower, more meaningful. He told her about losing his parents, rebuilding his life in the mountains, finding peace in guiding others. "Do you ever get lonely up here?" she asked. "Sometimes," he said. "But last night, for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel alone." Emotion tightened her chest. She squeezed his hand. As they neared the base of the trail, the valley stretching out below them, Halaena felt a strange fear of returning to the busy world, and fear of leaving the place where her heart had unexpectedly opened. "Marcos," she said softly. Yeah, can I come back, even after today?" He stopped walking, turned to her, took her hand gently. "Halaena," he said, voice full of quiet certainty, "I'll be waiting." 3 days passed before Halaena returned to the mountain. Her ankle was still healing, but she could walk slowly, carefully on. She didn't care how long the climb took. Something had shifted inside her since that night, something she couldn't ignore. The world below felt louder, heavier, and emptier. But higher among towering pines and open skies, she had felt seen, and she needed to see Marcus again. As she reached the trailhead, nerves fluttered through her. What if he wasn't there? What if she had imagined the softness in his eyes, the promise in his touch? Slow footsteps approached. Marcus emerged from between the trees, hat pushed back, eyes widening in unmistakable surprise and relief. "You came back," he said quietly. "Of course I did." He closed the distance in long strides. "You shouldn't be hiking yet." "I took it slow," she said. "Besides, I had a reason to come." "And what reason is that?" he asked, voice low. "You." Marcus exhaled sharply, as though her answer had hit him straight in the chest. "Halaena, I haven't stopped thinking about you." She reached for him, fingers curling into his shirt. "Then maybe we stop pretending this is just a rescue story." He pulled her into his arms, careful of her ankle, but holding her with an intensity that made her breath catch. His forehead rested gently against hers. "You think we can make something real out of this?" he asked, vulnerability raw in his tone. "I think," she whispered, "that some things start under falling stars, for a reason." Marcus laughed softly, full of warmth. "There's one left, you know." She blinked. "One what?" He pointed to the sky. "The last meteor. Happens just before sunrise. Rare folks say it grants clarity, or answers." Halaena leaned into him. "What answer do you want?" "You," he said simply. "Just you." As dawn approached, a brilliant streak of silver carved across the pale morning sky, the final meteor, bright and breathtaking. Marcus took her hand. "I want you in my life," he murmured. "On this mountain, down in the valley, wherever you choose to be." Emotion swelled in her throat. "I choose here, with you." He kissed hers low, deep, certain. When they finally pulled back, sunlight brushed the ridge, warming the world. A new day, a new beginning. Marcus wrapped an arm around her, steady and sure. "You ready for the trail back?" he asked. She smiled. "Only if you walk it with me, always." Under the last falling star, they began the path, not just down the mountain, but into a future carved from trust, tenderness, and the kind of love that grows in wild, unexpected places. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories.